In a quiet corner of a suburban home, where the fading afternoon sunlight filters through the window, there stands an old armchair. It's not an expensive or luxurious piece of furniture, but to John, a 75-year-old man, it is a treasure trove. John was once a construction engineer who spent decades building bridges and buildings. Now, in his retirement, he often sits in this chair, letting his mind drift back to the days gone by. The armchair is a deep brown, its leather upholstery worn and faded over the years. Faint scratches on the armrests, indentations on the cushion, all are signs of time's passage. But to John, these are not flaws. Each scratch tells a story. Each dent holds a memory. He often runs his hand gently over the chair's surface, feeling the softened, worn leather, and smiles as he recalls the day it first arrived in their home. It was 1975. John and his wife, Mary, had just bought this house in the suburbs of New Jersey. They spent the entire weekend choosing furniture, and the armchair was one of the first pieces they agreed on. Mary loved its comfort, while John was drawn to its classic look, as if it belonged to another era. They placed it right in the middle of the living room, and from then on, it became the center of family moments. When sitting in the chair, John often closes his eyes and lets the memories flood back. One of his favorite recollections is of weekend afternoons with his two children, Emily and Michael. Back then, they were tiny, climbing onto the chair, snuggling into his lap and begging for stories. John would make up tales about pirates, astronauts, or talking dogs. The children's laughter echoed through the room, blending with the sound of birds chirping outside. Now, Emily is a lawyer in Chicago, and Michael is an engineer in Seattle. They have their own families, but whenever they call, they still ask him to tell a story like the old days. John also remembers the peaceful evenings with Mary. After a long day at the construction site, he would come home, sit in the chair, and Mary would bring him a hot cup of coffee. They would watch their favorite TV shows, from MASH to The Cosby Show, or simply chat about little things. Mary loved knitting, and John still remembers her sitting beside him, her hands deftly knitting scarves or sweaters for the kids. The soft clicking of the knitting needle mixed with their laughter created a gentle melody of family happiness. But not all memories are joyful. John recalls the day he sat in the chair, holding Mary in his arms, as she told him about her cancer diagnosis. They held hands, cried together, laughed together, and promised to face everything side by side. Mary passed away 10 years ago, leaving John with an emptiness that could never be filled. Since then, the chair has become a place of solace. When he sits in it, he feels as though Mary is still there, smiling and listening to him talk about his day. The chair was also a gathering spot for friends. On Saturday nights, John's friends, construction workers, teachers, or neighbors, would come over. They would sit around the chair, drinking beer or coffee, arguing about football, politics, or reminiscing about their younger days. The loud laughter and exaggerated stories of the glory days once filled the room with life, but now many of them